All right, y'all. It's been a while, but I'm glad to be back, and I'm back with a good friend, Crew Wakley. You remember him from his days from BYU, picking off quarterbacks, and then he transferred over to Purdue, had some time there, and quite the story with that. But without further ado, my guy, Crew Wakley, how have you been doing, my friend?
I've been doing good, man. I'm happy to be on the pod. I've loved your work. We've tapped in since day one, and when I got to BYU, and I've just followed you everywhere. I think you do a great job, so I was excited. Ran into you at the BYU Utah game, and I was like, man, we need to link up after the season. So yeah, full circle, but we're here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for, reaching out. I know you're a busy man, got things going on, man, but let's just get straight to it, man. Like, I was
Yeah,
so excited to see you go to Purdue and obviously chase the next level of your dreams, football wise. You know, you played in 4 games and you had some injuries and all those things were a part of the game. And, in order for you to have success, there's other people off the field in order to make that happen as well as on the field. But just elaborate on your journey, where you at right now, man.
like where I'm at right now, like what's next, or where I'm at, like just
I would say let's walk us through just Purdue. You played in 4 games, and
yeah.
you were able to get your feet wet there with the Boilermakers. What was just that spring practice like? Just really getting in as in the transfer portal. On top of that.
Yeah, so it was kind of crazy because and we kind of talked about this before last time. I wasn't planning on going to Purdue, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really want to go there. I had no like reason to go there,
Hmm.
but as that process took place, it just felt right. And I'm a Christian. I believe in praying about big decisions and ask the Lord for help. And it was just weird as we continued to vet our options. Me and my wife just prayed, and it just the more we looked, the better it felt. And so it was definitely led by God. And so we were excited. We got there. Spring ball was cool. Everything was good. Um, Summer was cool. And then, yeah, I was, planned on being a starter there and everything. That was the plan all along. And then once fall camp started, I don't know what happened, but it seemed like some things changed, and that was kind of the thing. Because one of the things that got me to Purdue was asking the guy. Like I noticed he had a bunch of guys coming over from UNLV, so I was asking him, and I'm like, "Yo, like what, like what's been your experience like, bro? He's the man. We love him. Like they were super loyal to him." And I think, and so like you can only judge a man based off his past reputation and whatnot. But yeah, once we got to fall camp, it was weird. Like everything switched. All the boys that were with him, like it wasn't like this in the past. And
Hmm.
that goes for like we had the D coordinator came from UNLV too, and so that was some like everybody's just kind of in shock. And it was like in my mind, like some of the things we were doing, I was like, okay, at some point, like things have to change. Otherwise, like season's not going to go well. Like I could just see like camaraderie from the guys, which it was actually interesting because I will say the guys on the team, like we had some really good players, like some talented dudes, and we all really liked each other. Like for how many games we didn't win, like the camaraderie between the boys was really good. But it was weird because like everything was cool in the locker room, but then the second you stepped on the field, you couldn't talk to the dude. Like if you're waiting in line for the next drill, like you couldn't be chopping it up with them, like
Hmm.
anything. It was like everything had to be so serious, but it was like, was it really serious? Like it was like weird. It was like we were focused on the wrong things, is how it felt.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, dealt with some things, dealt with some injuries there, and I like had a hard time getting healthy. Like we're doing 3 hour practices, and I'm just like we're going full like tackling for like we're full pads like 3 days a week in practice. Plus you're hitting obviously on Saturday, and so it was like you were never. It was so hard to stay healthy, and I've never really struggled. I mean, you have like football, you're going to get hurt, right? But
Hmm.
I've never been one of those guys who was always hurt and always nagging stuff. Like that just wasn't me. But I got there, bro. I could not stay healthy, and yeah, so I pulled my hamstring the second game, and then the third game we're playing USC. I don't play. I come back for Notre Dame prep, and I've only been off for a week, and they throw me like I'm like thinking, okay, I'm gonna work back into practice, whatnot. Boom, they throw me right back into everything, all the special teams reps, everything, and expect me to go full speed, and I'm like. So I talked to the coach. I'm like, hey, look, like my hamstring's nagging. Like I'm feeling it on a couple of these breaks. And he's like, it's like, can you just push through it for me? Like, I need you to get these reps. Like, I'll take care of you. I'm like, all right, yeah. Like, all right. Like, I don't want to, but I will. So I do. And then, like, just to kind of, this will put in perspective kind of what it's like there. So I push through whatever. And then we get into the film room after practice. He's like, what is this? I'm like, and this is in front of the whole DB room because we met as corners and safeties together. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, do you think that's as hard as you can come out of a break? I'm like, bro, I told you like 10 minutes before this period that I'm like, my hamstring's grabbing every time I break. Say, all right, if you can't get the job done, I'll find someone else. I'm like, all right, like, I don't know what you want me to tell you, right? And then, so that was the stuff that continued all the time. So I pushed through whatever, re-pull it at Notre Dame, believe it or not, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, going to that next bye week, it was just like, I'm like, hey, like, I can't practice on the pulled hamstring. And so get spazzed out on again. They're like, if you don't want to play, like, we'll find someone else. If you can't get the job done, all this and that. And I'm like, bro, I got to pull hammy. I don't know what you want me to tell you.
Hmm.
So yeah, bro. And then it was just like more injuries and yeah, ultimately, yeah, it was like I said, I could go on for a while, but yeah, it's just stuff like that the whole time.
Yeah,
So,
those hamstrings ain't no joke, especially for your position where you need to use those movements to get out of breaks. I mean,
yeah.
the fact that you even took the initiative to try to go out on the field knowing that it's inevitable says a lot about your character, which is something that should be highlighted by the right type of coach. Do you think that they were pushing you guys in this way because they were trying their best to impress the people that are paying them so they can keep their jobs? Because a lot of times these coaches are on a lot of pressure, and as a result, they project it onto the players, which in this case was a negative outcome.
Yeah, no, I think there was definitely a lot of pressure from I don't know, the administrative side of things, and you could see it and you could feel it just in the energy, it was like, and so I think which at first when I got there, that was kind of what like all like the stuff, like most stuff was cool through spring. Like, I mean, the practices were a little heavier than I would normally think a spring practice would be and stuff like that. But I'm like, okay, they're trying to figure out what they got here. They're trying to set the tone. Like it was normal stuff, right? But
Mhm.
then it got to the point where it's like, hey, what do like dudes can't play in these conditions. So like when are we gonna back off the grind of practice and the full speed hitting? Like this isn't little league. Like we're grown men running into each other every day. Like so
Mhm.
yeah, you could definitely sense some of that, and that's kind of what I kind of pushed everything towards at first. Like oh, they're just trying to they're feeling the pressure. But yeah, definitely you could see it the whole time. So.
Mhm. So do you feel like, I mean, obviously, naturally, me just hearing it kind of like dampers my spirits, but for you and you walking in this path right now, I mean, I can only imagine how you feel about the game that you love and that you dedicated pretty much most of your life towards. Where do you stand right now as far as just your body of work?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty loaded question when you look at my career. There's a lot that I'm really proud of. There's a lot that I mean, like there's some things that obviously you wish would go different, but I wouldn't really say that because I'm a big believer in God has a plan. And so like like I look at all the blessings I've gotten from my football experiences and all the places it's taken me and going to continue to take me and pay me for the rest of my life. And so part of me wishes it would have obviously ended differently. Like you always wanted things to end on a good note. But at the same time, like I know there's a purpose behind it. But like I said, I'm really proud of a lot of the things I did, and like my time at BYU wasn't easy either. I started at the bottom of the depth chart 2 years in a row, never got a scholarship. Like 2 years start, I was there for 2 years and started for 2 years. You
I
know what I'm
remember
saying?
that.
Like
I remember that. Yeah.
there was a lot of stuff that I had to overcome that I was really proud of, and yeah, that'll like no matter what happens, like no one can ever take that away from me. Like to go in and earn my spot and be 12 out of 13 on depth chart and start by game three
Hmm.
after having not played ball for a year. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot that I accomplished that I hold my head high about. So that there's mixed emotions, but I don't really dwell on things too much just because I'm a big believer everything happens for a reason.
Hmm. And that much is true. That much is true. But as humans, we can't help but kind of dive into the, certain variables that we can and can't control.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't help but notice that some of the terms that you use were kind of past tense, like, are you saying that Crew Wakeley's done with football, or are you just kind of like wait and see where the Lord takes you, where it leads you?
Yeah, I think at this point I've I plan to move on. Because I am a grad transfer, I could still technically join somewhere in the summer, which is a possibility. And I talked to my agents, like if the right opportunity came up, I would take it. Um, but at this point, I've kind of planned to move on. Um, yeah, one of the hurdles I ran into is so I played in 4 games at Purdue, right, and then um, redshirted or planned to redshirt and had all the documentation. I meet all the requirements that the NCAA says for a redshirt, but you still have to technically submit like waiver or an appeal for a redshirt always. And so they wouldn't do it for me. They're like, you're gonna have to have your next school do it. Like, we won't do it for you. I'm like, well, how do I get picked up from somewhere if I'm technically out of eligibility without this red shirt, right? And so they're like, no, you can just do it. And I'm like, and they refuse to do it, right? And so yeah, kind of crazy. I was gonna go back to BYU, and then I was actually, and then whatever things happened, then I was gonna go to Michigan, and I was enrolled at Michigan. Like I had a class schedule, like I was on, I was supposed to move,
Wow.
and then like, yeah, we just need a couple more things from Purdue to submit this. Like everything looks good. We're confident you're going to get it approved. And then they like couldn't get the final. Like Purdue wouldn't give them what they needed to submit the waiver. And so they kind of like I was kind of like, well, how do you take that? And we had already been fighting through that for a while. And so I kind of took that as God's closing certain doors for me for a reason and leading me in another direction. So that's
Hmm.
kind of how I've processed it all and kind of where I'm at with everything.
See, the fan and the friend in me is like, keep fighting, man. Keep hoping.
Yeah,
But I can only imagine just going through certain things that you went through, even with the highs and the lows, like you've been through a lot, man, and it's only you and God knows, and of course your wife as well, and
yeah,
so, I know that, greater things are coming. So when you're saying you're done, are you saying you're done with college football?
yeah. Yeah. I think I'm just done with football as a
Mm,
whole. So like, I yeah. I mean, to be completely honest, a lot of the things I dealt with at Purdue, like I dealt with some things mentally that I had never in my life experienced. I never really struggled with any type of mental health or any of that. But yeah, I remember getting in the Notre Dame game and I'm sitting there and I'm like waiting for the play to start, waiting for the quarterback to snap, and I'm like, I hope this ball like doesn't come my direction. Like I don't want to be here. And I was like, damn, like I'm literally living my dream.
mhm.
I'm at Notre Dame playing in like I love big games. Like the bigger the game, the better. I don't get nervous. Like that's my favorite thing. And that moment, I literally remember sitting there. I'm on the field, and I'm like, damn, like I'm living my dream right now, and I feel empty inside. Like there's nowhere. Like this is the last place I want to be. And that was oh, like that one hurt. You know what I mean? Because it was weird. It was like this weird. I'd never experienced anything like that, and so it's like you take something you love so much, and it's like it became your. I don't want to say my least favorite thing to do, but there was no
Joy.
enjoyment, no fulfillment in it anymore, and yeah, I think all in all, like I was just in a place mentally where like I couldn't perform. I felt really empty inside, and it was weird, and so um, and I know there was a lot of dudes on the team feeling the same way. It was crazy. It was like the atmosphere, and you could even if you just went to the games, you could just see it on the sideline. Like it was just everybody just felt like they were stripped of what they loved, and there's a reason why pretty much the whole team transferred.
Mm.
But yeah, so I it was kind of, like to be honest, with the reason I'm saying all that is because I kind of lost my spark and my fire, and I always pride myself in like I always played the game the right way. Like
Mhm.
there's only one way to play the game, and if you can't play it like that, then I'm not going to go out there and play a half version of myself. Like I refuse to do that, and that's kind of where it got to, and that's kind of what led to me stepping away from Purdue and all that stuff. But yeah, I was hoping to get to a place where I could find that spark again and fall in love with the game again, but didn't end up happening. And I'll always love football, but I think as far as like to get up and work out every day and to run into people full speed. It's like you got to have a passion about you, and I just believe that, and I just don't have that at this time, and maybe it could come back if I was in the right situation, but yeah, not right now. So
Man, that breaks my heart to hear that, man. You about to have your boy in tears over here.
yeah,
At least
it,
answer me
well,
this though, man. Are you healthy now?
um, almost,
Okay. Okay.
almost.
On a,
It
on
depends
a,
on
on a
the day.
scale of 0 to 100%, where you at?
I'm like, I'd give myself 87.
87, that's good.
Yeah,
So theoretically, if you had to, wait till September, August, like you would be 100%. You probably be over 100%.
yeah. Like if someone picked me up in the summer, I would be 100% for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
So
All right. That makes me feel a little better then. All right.
yeah.
Cool. Well, I'll definitely be keeping you in prayer on that. So for sure, man, because that's a really big thing. And I know what it's like to give up the game, and there's levels to the game, but the love of the game remains, which is why no matter what, you can always tell the difference between somebody who loves the game and who doesn't, regardless of if they put on a helmet or not, which you know what I mean. And so, or the level of the game that they play. And so for me, man, I feel for you in that, and so. We're gonna turn the page from the sad news, which ain't really sad news. It's sad to me because the athlete in me, man. I understand, but God has a plan, like you said. So we just gonna stay in agreement and alignment on that.
Mhm.
So I got a couple questions for you, then, man. Some fun questions that I wanted to talk to you about as somebody who has gone through what you've gone through as far as just being on a football field, picking off quarterbacks that people know their names and tackling running backs, people know their names, playing with guys, that's in the NFL right now, and so, I'm curious to know what did you think of the college football playoff outcome, especially with Indiana winning it? That's pretty crazy.
Bro, let me. So it's it's funny. I mean, I was really. It was fun. I loved the playoffs this year. I thought it was really exciting. Um, the Miami versus Indiana was awesome because I love Indiana's story, and but also Keelan Marion. I'm good friends with Keelan,
Yeah, I
and
remember him.
him being on Miami was like I was cheering for him. So it was fun for me because it was a good game, and that's all I wanted. And whoever won, I was happy for. So it's kind of one of the reasons I was so excited for Indiana is because Kurt Signetti I think is a genius.
Hmm.
Um, his belief window and his philosophy and the way he operates is it's genius. And like I don't want to sit here and act like it's something that I've said, like I've never been like, oh yeah, that's how it should be done. But his like the way he runs the program is kind of the way I've always believed football should be done, right? And
Hmm.
and not just football, but I believe in anything. It's like if you want to be successful at something, keep it simple and do it really well.
Hmm.
Like that was kind of his whole thing. It's like you need to have systems in place. Don't waste people's time. When we're here, we're working. When we're away, we're away. I don't want people staying late, and that's how I've always been. Um, it made me kind of happier that it was it was the exact opposite of the way we did things at Purdue. So it's nice to see like kind of from like a business perspective of like, hey, you have two different philosophies, and it's like I love seeing Indiana win just based off of the way he went about his business.
Okay. 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 Yeah, I did a bracket out here in Houston my first day doing on air and at Fox 26 Houston, and they wanted me to do a bracket and I was so wrong. I had Georgia and Oregon going to the final and Georgia winning it. And I don't know what Kirby Smart is doing over there at Georgia, but he ain't doing it right because they should have been 1-1 under his. It's over now. Like that window's closed. Now I feel like with the NIL and they can pay people now, like it's a fair game, but
Yeah.
Georgia always had the athletes to get it done. So I don't know what the problem was. Um, what are the pros and cons of the transfer portal? Like now people are starting to really see the back end of it where if just because you enter this transfer portal don't mean you're going to get where you want to go, and then if you
Yeah.
don't get where you want to go, I'm hearing over 50% of athletes don't even get the spot that they left. They can't go back to the school that they went to prior. What are the pros and cons from your experience or from those you know?
Yeah, I think pros and cons. I would say the biggest con is it gives a lot of people false expectations. You hear like the few people who go out there and get a big paycheck and it works out great for them, but on the pro side, I think it if you're in a bad situation, it gives you the opportunity to get to something better. I also think one of the biggest things is it gives the players some power. So when a situation like I was in last year, it's like everybody leaves the program. Okay, coach has either got to change the way he's doing things because if your whole team leaves, like that's a pretty, one or two people leave, that's normal.
Hmm.
You have, 50% of your team gone, all right, there's a systematic issue there. And so it kind of levels, it exposes people because in the past you could get away with just being a hard ass and treating people a certain way. And they
Hmm.
had no choice. They had to stay there or they had to sit a year. So I like that aspect of it. Gives freedom, gives a little control to the players, which is good. I think you need checks and balances and everything. Um, but yeah, I think it's exciting. I think there's definitely I like the way they did it this year where there's one window. So that way you're at least there for spring, you're there for the season. I didn't love last year. I thought it was kind of goofy how some people were going to teams for the spring and then leaving after spring ball, and it just seemed a little odd to me. But yeah, I think there's a lot of benefits to it from a player perspective, especially.
One of the biggest news, in the offseason for college football was, Kyle Whittingham going to Michigan, and you touched it. You we're this close, and maybe it's still in the works. That's just me being, a big supporter of your college football journey.
Yeah,
But Kyle Whittingham to Michigan, how crazy was that? I actually got to talk to Nico Collins about what he thought about that, and a few other guys. Licky Fotu, he played with
yeah,
and then also Junior Tafuna, he's also with the Texans. I got to chop it over him too in the locker room, and they all like super amped. But you actually played against them, and I believe you're 2-0 against Kyle Whittingham.
uh,
So I mean, the ones that I can remember, the two games I remember, you guys are 2-0. So, just what do you think of that? Just that big move. Obviously, it appealed to you since you were trying to go there in the first place.
yeah. I think it's a great place for him. I think his style fits Big Ten play really well, and I think it fits like the Michigan culture. So. I mean, as soon as I saw him go there, and I didn't think I was going to go there at all. I was like, man, it's a great fit, and so I think he's going to have success there. I mean, I don't know how long. You always got to give him some time when they get there, um, but I think when he gets his culture established and his brand of football, I think it's going to be great, and especially having Jay go there with him, like
Hmm. Yeah.
that's a pretty powerful duo,
Hmm.
especially on the defensive side of things. So, if they can get even a little bit of offense going, I think they're going to have a pretty dominant run there.
Okay, okay. And I got a juicy question too that I just thought of.
Yeah,
Is Utah ever gonna beat BYU, or is it BYU running Utah now? The state of Utah is because where I worked, it was Ute country, and
yeah,
when you go down to Provo, it's all blue and white. But these past couple years, it's looking like Bears there to stay.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, here's what I'll say. It's a rivalry game, and it's going to be competitive no matter what. You could have one team that is winless and one team that hasn't lost, but when they play, it's gonna come down to a score. So, with that being said, though, I do think for the next couple of years, BYU's got the upper hand. So hopefully we can keep it going, keep that streak alive.
Ooh wee, that's good. And then on top of that, I mean, even just in basketball, I mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
BYU got them by the throat, So it's
Hmm.
interesting to see. When I first went to Utah, it was Utah, and they had Cam Rising and
Hmm.
all those running backs, and then when Brad Keithley was healthy, and you know how that went, and then
Yeah.
Jake in that situation, Jake Retzlaff, that situation, and then he go off to Tulane. I mean, how crazy was that to see him
Yeah.
go crazy in Tulane? He was in the college playoff.
I know it was crazy because I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn, I got Keelan in the playoffs, Jake in the playoffs. And then I'm like, man, my final two, it came down to Ole Miss and Purdue. Like, if I'd have gone to Ole Miss, I would have been in the playoffs too. I'm like, that could have been crazy. But no, I was happy for him. I was like, you always, I think one maybe misconception about the transfer portal is that people like when players leave that there's like bad blood, and I mean at times there is, right? But the majority of the time when a player leaves, everybody gets it, and they're like, yeah, like go do you. Like everyone wishes him the best, and there's no hard feelings. So it was cool to see Jake do his thing, and man, playing in playoffs, like no matter what, like that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. A couple more questions for you, man, because I definitely enjoy our time for sure, bro. Now we're gonna talk a little NFL, bro. Like, I actually got to talk to Devontae Adams at the Pac-12 Championship when Utah was playing USC, and this is when he was on the Raiders. And I asked him, I was like, "How do you feel about the Pro Bowl?" You know, like I grew up on a time where it was pride in the Pro Bowl. You actually put on pads, you actually hit, and in a lot of ways, you are putting yourself at risk for further injury. But at the same time, like from a fan standpoint, we appreciated it. But then from a football standpoint, I understand. And he simply said, you know what? I'm not putting my body on the line, risking, breaking my ankle for a game that really don't mean anything. And I took that and as a fan, I took that to the chin. Like this is Devontae Adams. Like, all right, whatever he say goes for sure. But from an athlete standpoint, I understand. What do you think when it comes to these Pro Bowl games and flag football and dodgeball? Like,
Uh, I'll tell you what, if I just got done playing 17 games and you try to convince me to go out and play a game for nothing, I'd be playing two-hand touch too. I'll just say that. But I don't think people really understand how like after the season it takes you, and we only played what 10, 11 games in college football. Like
mm,
it takes you a good couple months to recover genuinely. And so yeah, to go out and play a full speed game for nothing, like yeah,
mm,
you wouldn't see me doing that. But I mean, NFL's got to put on their entertainment, so they're gonna have the flag football stuff, the events. But I think it at least will get a little more like competitive nature, and it's fun for the fans to watch. And I think we'd all love to watch a game, but not if it's what it turned into. So I think they're doing it right. They're in the right direction now, with flag football and keeping people safe and still being able to make it a fun event. So yeah, we'll see how they continue to evolve it, because I think it can be done the right way and make it a fun fan event. But yeah, that's my athlete standpoint on it.
No, I understand. For me personally, I feel like they need to bring those games back down to like 15 games in regular
Yeah.
season, because you already
Hmm.
know who's going to the playoffs, and you already know what the playoff bracket looks like by week 14, probably by
Yeah.
week 10, really. You know, but that's just me, and I feel like they should just ump the ante. Like NFL bringing so much money, you need to pay them instead of like 75, 80,000 that they giving each player. Give them like 2 million, give them 3 million, make it worth their while, because
Right.
that's a part of the game that's, I miss is the Pro Bowl. And I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to come chop it up with me again, bro. You back in Utah now, and I'm glad you made the transition back with you and the wifey, and you got a whole new chapter going on, and I know that how difficult it can be on just you being the man that you are and the man that you foresaw, but God has a plan for you, bro, and I'm for sure gonna be locked in, and well, we definitely gonna keep it going, man.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.